The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order. The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge Dylan J. Schlender presiding. Your eyes for the Honorable Judge Schlender.
Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice. Today we are hearing the case of The People versus Batman and Robin, a 1997 action-packed superhero film that pits the dynamic duo against the sinister team of Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy as they battle to save Gotham City from icy destruction. For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. As always in this courtroom, films are to be considered excellent until proven awful, and the burden of proof lies upon the prosecution to prove beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. Miss Emily Marsh, you are representing the prosecution. You may present your opening statement.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the court and jury. I first want to begin by saying that there is a big difference between camp and a bad movie. A camp movie can be confused for a bad movie, but there are some important distinctions. I believe that this movie by Schumacher is a lazy movie attempting to pass itself off as camp. However, I today will make it very clear that this movie is not a fun, campy romp, but a bad movie that is trying to fool you with camp aspects. So, we won't let Schumacher get away with it. He was able to get away with it with Batman Forever, but with Batman and Robin, I say, no, sir, no more.
All right, thank you, Miss Marsh. Appearing on behalf of the defense is Miss Kelsey and Brady. Please present your opening statement.
Hello. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I think Joel Schumacher, he made a good movie in regards to being camp. Much like a camp, it was intense. And
not guilty.
Order in the court, please.
No, I truly do believe that this was in fact a colorful delight, full of jokes in the spirit of early Batman, and I'm ready to I'm not a dad, but I like dad jokes. I am indeed a faux pas, but this movie has less than you think, and I'm ready to party. Let's go. Let's do this.
All right, thank you.
If she hits 50 puns, I vote not guilty.
All right, start the pun counter.
No!
I've always got a pun in the oven, so.
Oh, wow. 45 left.
All right.
Pun intended.
All right. Thank you, Miss Brady. Miss Marsh, you may proceed with your first exhibit.
So, my first exhibit that I would bring before the court is that, once again, my argument is that this isn't a fun romp. We are being fooled into thinking it is a fun romp by having the superficial accessories of a fun romp. However, there are certain main elements to this casserole of a movie that taste terrible once you really think about it. The first one being, this movie has a terrible story. There are so many elements of this movie that are teased as maybe being something that'll be a through line. For example, I had to listen to George Clooney say over and over again how it's family and how you have to trust family, and we've got Chris O'Donnell. Oh, gosh. I mean, look, listen, I'm all for it's all about family, it's all about teamwork, blah-de-blah to bring this movie together. But however, first of all, this is never resolved in the end. I believe that they just destroy the bad guys, and there is never any kind of resolve to this. It would be one thing if at least there's no investment in that storyline emotionally, but at least bring it together. Make me feel like I've watched a full movie. But no, this is abandoned probably like 3/4 of the way through the movie, and I think there's one throwaway line about how, something about family. I mean, after a while, it just becomes mutterings, and I disconnected completely.
I would like to interject here and say that Alfred had that kind of, I'm sick, and they cared, and then they fixed him. So,
but here's also another story plot that goes nowhere. Alicia Silverstone, our Batgirl, is there to free our Alfred from basically enslavement, which I did find was actually a scene that I actually listened to.
Is it enslavement or is it family? What's the
difference?
Family.
Great question.
Look, I want family.
I want to find out that Alfred's actually been here against his will the entire time.
He loves it.
But similar to the initial exploration of family, in quotes, there is no resolve to this. There's no even any conversation where Alfred confirms that he is consenting to being there. We just sort of cure him from his disease. And you know what, guys? I may be old school, but I think consent should be implicit. I need a verbal yes confirmation from Alfred that he does want to remain at the manor, that which was never resolved. Also, I believe there's a certain side plot of our George Clooney doesn't want to commit to a woman, sort of a little side plot thing. Basically, all of these storylines are basically charades that never get resolved. We never have any sort of like emotional like follow through to any of them. So basically, most of this movie, you're sort of just careening from plot to plot. There is essentially nothing to hold on to except for the through line of, we have bad guys, we must stop bad guys, oh, we stopped the bad guys.
Now, I'd like to hear from the defense, though, real quick on this story point.
Sure.
Kelsey, if you'd like to, does the family plot mean much here? What do we got going on?
I would venture that the interaction between Batman and Robin is well illustrated through the kind of the bratty teen and the mentor. So that family dynamic where he has to help guide him into manhood, this adult man.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we're doing great so far. But also...
Objection! I'm glad they did not follow through on that story arc, which was a mentor and a mentee.
What's wrong with having a strong male, older brother type mentor figure to help you not be such a bratty brat? And also the heartbreaking storyline with Mr. Freeze and his wife and how much he dedicated his entire being into saving her life.
Objection! Okay, Objection!
Okay. You only can say it once.
Warning.
She has 3 of them lined up.
I have a button on the side here. I'm not actually even saying objection. Got it queued up. I refuse to be emotionally invested in a relationship where the woman involved says nothing. All she does is float in a chamber, put cake in his mouth, I think, in one scene.
Hey, we just didn't get to see that side of the story. We came in the middle where he was already mad and frozen.
I will overrule the objection based on that. We are kind of hopping in the middle of their relationship while she's floating. All right, but Emily, if you'd like to proceed to your next point.
My next point, something that I think is very necessary to make a camp movie successful is comedy. I would say that having strong comedic actors to carry your camp movie is important. And then weirdly in this movie, they decided to hire the comedic actors of George Clooney, Chris O'Donnell, Uma Thurman.
All right. Objection. George Clooney's friggin' hilarious. Have you seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
No, later. I want them thrown out of the court. At this point, this was General Hospital era. He did not know the power of his
person.
No, he did not have the skills. Comedic acting is a skill, and they were not there yet.
We'll have to let the jury decide how funny George Clooney is.
Not very.
But it just seems like the success of Batman Forever, I'm putting success also in quotes, because I would also argue that was a little bit of a lazy movie, but you had Jim Carrey, who is the perfect actor for a camp movie. They didn't have a Jim Carrey in this movie. I think they were hoping that it would be Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it just didn't. He just does not have the same sort of comedic chops as a Jim Carrey to carry this movie into the world of camp. We have a bunch of serious actors attempting to overact and be comedic, and I felt bad for all of them.
So we're calling Arnold Schwarzenegger a serious actor?
Thank you.
Is that how what we're defining?
I'm saying of all of our actors in this movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the comedian to carry this film. That is a low bar. I rest my case. I don't rest my case. I have more to do. I have more to do.
I was going to say, please continue.
I guess this is a big argument for me. So I guess I'll put it here. One can just really argue that it's kind of the even keel delivery. I think can be so effective, and also being accidentally funny is still funny. So, if I'm laughing, whether it be a bad pun, a groan gives me joy and fuels me. And I think the intent across the board, because it's consistent with delivery, I think it feels intentional to me, with all the jokes that are added in there. So I think regardless of actor / comedian / whatever, however you want to define them,
Weightlifter.
I don't think that. Yeah, weightlifter, barbarian,
soap opera hunk,
governor,
the governator.
I think the argument that the actors themselves needed to be comedians, I think, to me is irrelevant, because it feels like that was the tone was set.
All right, Emily, if you'd like to move on to your next point.
Alrighty, my next point. This going with the main claim that this movie is a lazy movie, attempting to pretend to be a campy fun, oh gampy, a campy Batman flick. There are so many elements of a classic Batman movie that are not in this movie. The biggest offense being there is no mention, or very limited, of any sort of angst that George Clooney as Bruce Wayne has about his dead parents. This is something that I feel like is so essential to a Batman movie, and it is barely mentioned in this film. That, to me, feels like we're deviating from the traditional Batman, the traditional Batman accessories that make a movie beloved by fans. Something else was also this movie got away from the darker Batman themes, which, even the Adam West Batman, which is considered the most, campy Batman there is, still had darker elements to it. But this one just sort of threw all of those darker elements out the window and was just trying to reinvent the Batman genre without kind of giving any sort of homage to what came before. Also, I would say terrible vehicles. Terrible.
What?
When the
The Bat Zamboni?
The Bat Zamboni. that
Batboner.
Batmobile, when
Batboner.
it's first revealed with the disco ball in the hood, come on. Come on. Even superficially, this movie laughs in the face of the fans. Just tempting them, just telling them, oh, accept me. Just drink the medicine down. And fans rebelled because this just abandons everything that makes Batman great.
All right, Kelsey, would you say that this stands up as a Batman feature itself, or was it trying to do something new?
I think it does. I think it stays true to the mix of, I mean, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. You know, that kind of
One of those days.
right? I think it pays homage to those old Adam West kind of corniness. In my opinion, as the movies continued and got darker and darker and grittier, I feel like it lost that. It lost the fantastical. It lost the cartoon comic elements, like the colorfulness, and became a little bit more real as the movies continued on, like Christian Bale and so forth. Because with all of the design elements to it, like with the vehicles and the ice skates popping out of the boots, that sort of thing, that tickles me, and that brings me back into this kind of Dick Tracy colorful romp comic book movie style that I enjoyed.
Wait,
All right.
Sidebar. Is that allowed? I don't think I've ever tried that in this court.
You could have a sidebar, sure. What's up?
Sidebar.
I want to have a
Jury.
salad bar.
Well, with this salad bar, so I love George Clooney did not try changing his voice at all. I can't remember. Did Michael Keaton try changing his voice at all in the movies? Obviously, later in Batman Begins, that was obviously the case, but I couldn't remember.
I think Michael Keaton spoke much lower, but I don't recall.
A little gruffer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good to
Calculated.
know. I'm taking notes.
All right,
Taking
so,
notes. Thanks for the sidebar.
No problem. Emily, do you have any other exhibits you'd like to present?
I'm good. I think I've said what I wanted to say. Also, actually, no, I've got one more exhibit.
All right.
Go for it. Here we go.
The sidebar, the salad bar that I called upon really got me all
Delicious.
fired up.
Lots of croutons.
Can we say a Batman movie is only as good as its Batman? And I find George Clooney to be, going along with the theme of this movie, it was very consistent, the laziest Batman I have ever seen in any Batman movie. The amount of non-committalness to anything happening in this movie, like George Clooney doesn't seem to be disturbed or go on any kind of emotional journey in any way, shape, or form through this movie. An example being when our George Clooney tells Robin that Alfred is dying, and he gives that news with no emotion whatsoever. Because we're told it's McGregor, which I assume is code for Schmancer. But
no.
this, I can only assume. What was it, stage 1 McGregor? And I'm like,
I thought it was even
what other
worse.
disease has a stage 1?
Only bad
but
diseases have stages.
But this news is just delivered with such deadpan delivery. I was like, does Bruce Wayne even care about Alfred, who is honestly the character he should care the most about in this movie? I just felt like George Clooney did not have his heart in this film, and that just emanates throughout. A non-committal Batman for a non-committal Batman movie.
All right, and you want to rest on that?
I do want to rest on that.
All right, enjoy the salad bar while we kick it over to Kelsey. Kelsey, you may present any exhibits you have in defense of the movie.
Ooh, pepperoncinis.
So very That is so very ice of you.
Yeah.
Let me take over.
Up to 6.
And I think Emily has done a divine job.
See? Poison
but
ivy pun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm excited to. This isn't a pun. I'm just excited to start. Anyway, we begin right in with the action and with the bat suit. I would love to talk about the costume design of the movie, because I feel as though this particular bat
Objection.
suit gets a
Objection.
bad rap.
Well, wait, one minute, please. Let her get the whole point out.
All
and then you
right.
can
I
object.
know. I'm gonna start with probably the point you may be about to make. The elephant in the room, the staring you right in the face, those bat nipples.
Ah,
Is that what
thank
you're gonna
goodness.
say?
Thank
There?
goodness we can say it. Are you
Yes.
pro nipple? Kelsey, are you pro nipple?
So
I'm free the nipple.
number one, free the nipple. We should not be ashamed of our anatomy. Number 2, I appreciate when men are just as sexualized as women, because we're equal opportunity, physically sexualized here. And number 3, Poison Ivy, she even points it out. So the movie is clearly very aware of what it's doing. She makes a comment about the anatomically. That's the word. And anatomically correct
That's right.
bat suit.
Alicia Silverstone doesn't get them, though.
Well, Alfred is the one who
Fair.
designed the suit. So.
Right. So
Order from the jury, please.
Salad bar. Does she not have nipples? Wait a minute. She doesn't have nipples on her suit?
They're conical. They're segmented, but
Jeez.
there's not nippies.
They're segmented.
Wait, I'm bringing in an expert nipple.
Well, it's like
witness. Hold up.
it's like a bat bra.
Right. And to my point, they have the exact same shots when they introduce the Batgirl suit as they do the Batman suit. There's a close-up on the booty. Every element is mirrored there. So...
Salad bar. There are nipples.
Okay.
Silverstone has
Seeing
nipples.
Silverstone has nipples. I'm confirming all nipples are free in this movie.
I so desperately want to move on from the nipple point if we could.
5 more minutes on the nipples, please. I think we can tweak these arguments here.
Get this man out of my courtroom, please.
I will divert from nipples, but I will remain on the costume design. And
Okay.
If you look like Poison Ivy, not just costume, but also the makeup design, with how her makeup evolves as she becomes more and more plant-like and evil. Mr. Freeze, the makeup that he's wearing, I believe he's wearing like 2 sets of contacts. I think I read that somewhere, where the effect that they got with his eyes was wild. And you have those close-up shots, and this is what year? 92.
7.
Oh my god, very wrong. 97. Still, this is like it is makeup. It is prosthetics. It is not the CGI that we have today. So I'm super impressed by all of that.
Salad bar.
Is it the salad bar, or are you objecting?
I'm not...
You can't object to the salad bar. It's delicious and it's complimentary.
Objection to the salad bar. I actually must agree. The one thing that was not lazy in this movie, I will concede, was the costumes and the set.
Yeah. Vivica A. Fox.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey.
Down to like even the background characters, the guests, like at the auction, like everybody was very well thought out. The whole world is fully realized. And then costume design aside, even the set design, the holographic floors, and I feel like a lot of the visuals really hold up to today's standards. There are some elements that you're like, okay, clearly the CGI doesn't hold up to today, but there wasn't a ton of it. So I was actually surprised, when you watch a movie 5 years later and you're already like, ooh, that looks funky, but this one did not do that. I think like with the chase scenes and the plant effects and stuff, I applaud that.
All right, you already got your opponent to concede that the visuals
Yeah,
were good.
cool.
Was there another exhibit you'd like to bring?
Yes. I think this also kind of ties into the costume element and the gender representation. I think the idea that you have two very different but very strong female roles. You have the Batgirl, who is the computer scientist, but she's also super tough. And then you have the scientist that chooses to, prefer plants over humankind. But either way, they have a way of showing their strength, but also their sexy, femininity as well. So I thought that was cool.
Emily, do you want to object to femininity?
Yeah.
Yeah, free the nipple. Objection.
Free the nipple.
Objection. I would say that our female characters, though there was the beginning of, we have Uma Thurman as a scientist character, and that's interesting. That's refreshing to see, during this time period. However, her transformation essentially makes her into a sex object and kind of two-dimensional in that way.
Oh, she uses it for her purpose, though. Sometimes she took it the manipulative route. So, but she knew what she was doing. Much like a Catwoman.
Well, and I must say, we know that a lot of female characters are only used as sexual objects with the men in the movie, and the ultimate test is, do they talk to each other? Which in this movie, no two female characters talk to each other. I rest my case.
You can't rest your case again.
I don't rest my case. Salad bar. Salad bar.
All right, Kelsey, do you have another point or exhibit you'd like to bring up?
Let me see. I just have a lot of list. I have a list of all the jokes.
Oh yeah, take your time.
Let's hear that list.
I'm gonna object unless you really read them dramatically.
All right.
I want the same delivery that George Clooney would give it.
And Schwarzenegger.
The Iceman comet.
Not bad.
It left me cold. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
She really warmed up to it.
Really go for it.
Stay cool, bird boy. Oh, and they played the Snow Miser song.
Loved that. Not guilty.
Yay!
No!
I did.
All right, everyone. Chill. Cool party. Allow me to... Yeah, there's a Clockwork Orange costume in there. Coolio was in it.
Coolio was. Get it? Coolio?
Rapunzel about how...
Get it? Coolio?
Oh my gosh, Coolio was the embodiment of a ice pun we never even said.
Oh, okay. I won't.
You have to wonder if he was in on the joke.
I like to think that he was. I will just end with my favorite one: Adam and Evil. So,
all right, and you'd like to
get all the good puns that
you'd like to rest on that, Kelsey. Or if you have more to say,
Talk
go
about
for it.
The music.
No.
The music.
Have I rested yet?
Yes,
you did. Several,
twice.
actually 4 times.
Oh, shoot.
She's so rested. She's taking a nap.
I have one more point.
Music.
I want one more salad bar.
All right, well, this is Kelsey's time. Let's let her make her points here, and then you can mention in your closing.
I was reminded, I've mentioned all the behind the scenes things, like the costuming and the makeup. I didn't mention this, but lots of Dutch tilt angles.
We love those.
But the music was also great. I think that something about the Batman movies is it seems to always have a very solid soundtrack underscore. And yep. So I mean, I think I've said a lot. I feel pretty confident. I'm just saying.
All
I
right.
think as far as like the definition of camp is just over the top in aware and funny. And I think it delivers all of that. And I maybe the people weren't ready for it. Maybe it's ahead of its time. But I'm watching it now, and I like what I see. And puns are a sign of intelligence. So I'm just saying, I must be pretty smart.
All right. Okay, so all sides have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their closing arguments. Miss Marsh, you may begin.
Listen, I've gone through a lot of points of why this movie is not a fun, campy romp, but a lazy exercise of Schumacher to just recycle Batman Forever, but with actors who are less up to the task, and writing that is less up to the task. I want to also bring attention to the fact that the first opening line of this movie, "Chicks dig the car," is a joke from the previous movie, said again, but less funny. That's how I feel about this movie, Batman and Robin. And if we don't stop Schumacher here and now, if we don't take a stand and say, "No more, sir," he will make another one.
No, he
and
can't.
another one. And another one.
Oh no. No,
He
he passed.
He won't be able to make any more.
He won't be making any more movies. I'm sorry.
Zombie Shoemaker will.
Ooh.
All
Rule
right.
maker.
Oh God. Thank you. Miss Brady, please present your closing argument.
What's up? I was just really studying the soundtrack, and now I want to go listen to it. Everyone should go. There's Jewel is on it. Foolish Games. That's cool. REM.
REM.
Yeah. Ignore the R. Kelly song. Anyway, Smashing Pumpkins. That being
Bruce
said,
Wayne smiling politely.
I did already kind of start to say all of this, but I will just really emphasize that puns are great, and this movie was ahead of its time. It knew what it was doing. It was a very stylized, campy comic book fun time. Fantastical, beautiful. The end.
All right. Thank you all. Members of the jury, Mr. Big Ben Haslar, Mr. Maynard Bangs, and Mr. Holy Voir dire, Batman, it's Ryan Luis Rodriguez.
Voir dire.
You have all... I know, we don't say voir dire enough on the show. You have all heard the facts concerning this case. Quite you. It is now up to you to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict.
Right this way. Sorry if you're hoping to hit the salad bar on the way in. Emily cleaned it out.
It's amazing you had that written down before the show started.
I know. I'm just Nostradamus.
There's still some that remains.
Oh.
All right, guys, what are we thinking? Rob?
I went into this movie wanting to give it the best benefit of the doubt, right? Like, I think Schumacher is a competent director, and I don't think he made these choices accidentally. So I tried to really watch it like it's a campy homage to like the 60s Adam West stuff. But, I can kind of forgive, puns and and stuff like that. But there really wasn't a story other than, you know, here's two villains and Batman has got to stop them. You know, Batman has really no growth. You know, he and Robin, most of their bickering stems from pheromones. Not really any problem they actually have with each other. So I don't know. It struck me as like a kid's movie, right? I mean, they basically took the franchise into a kid friendly direction. And so it's very colorful. It's very, very dynamic visually. But there's just not a lot of substance.
But shouldn't these
Yeah,
movies
and there's a
be
reason for
children?
that.
Like, I mean, they're comic books. They're silly.
Well, it's a PG-13 film for one thing, and like the
Well,
the
all
other
the
films,
Marvel
like, sort of
movies are
set that
PG-13.
tone.
Those movies are made for children.
I don't like when they drop F-bombs for kids in the audience. You know,
They only did it once.
I don't mind it for
They
myself.
only did it once.
That did actually bother me.
I guess I was thinking of
In Guardians.
Hugh Jackman.
In Guardians 3,
But yeah, like it was the reason that it was doing this was Toynetics. Like they intentionally wanted to make toys because Batman Forever, they learned, hey, we can make lots and lots of toys with Batman and all these different suits and all these different vehicles. So taking that, this turned it into sort of that money maker sort of thing where they can just, you know, get it that way. I don't mind. I do like the argument that it's like sort of hearkening to the Adam West thing, because I think what Schumacher likes and what Burton likes are probably very different Batmans. Although these were sort of sequel to those Burton films. So given that, like, the bar has been set, if he sort of rebooted itself a bit better, maybe that wouldn't have bothered me so much.
Well, Tim Burton has gone on to say that he does not read comic books, and that his movies were more influenced by like German expressionism. Like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is more important to him than The Killing Joke. And I actually think that Schumacher is more of a purist when it comes to these characters. Like if you look at Batman Forever, what he was actually trying to do versus what the studio wanted him to do, very different approaches. And I think that he just leaned into that.
I agree.
He really, like, it's been said over and over and over again, but this is basically a large budget, extra long episode of the 66 series. Mm-hmm. And to kind of piggyback on the assertion that maybe there was dramatic heft or even darkness in that series, I don't think there was, simply because Adam West would just casually say, as you know, my parents are dead. It's like, why do you say that in the middle of the scene? Why do I need to know that?
I'm just trying to eat dinner, Adam, please.
But like, I love the production design. I love the look of Schumacher's Gotham. And, you know, if you're mad about the bat nipples, take it up with Greek and Roman architecture. Like, that's where it all comes from. I have such a crush on Mae West. I mean, Uma Thurman, who I think is amazing in this movie. It's still the most faithful depiction of Bane I have ever seen. The stupidest goddamn character in the world.
Oh,
and they actually lean into that stupidity.
It's not that faithful to Bane at all, because Bane's not stupid.
Bane is very stupid.
Yeah.
No, he isn't. Bane in the comics is a brilliant tactician. No, he's not.
It's too bad we didn't have our actual DC expert in the jury for this one.
I can tell you I'm speaking for him right now, as he harps on this all the time. That Bane is
and what he thinks about Batgirl not being...
Bane's not a stupid character. Even in the animated series where he's just an assassin, he's relatively clever, but he is intellectually brilliant. Too. Like,
he was invented just to break Batman's back. That's his entire purpose in the comic books.
You have to get close to Batman to do that. Anyway,
I
Bane's
think
not
this
stupid.
Is
He's
to
not
the side of the movie. I think
it's not though.
His spirit first, though. There's a whole thing. I gotta leave. I'm sorry.
But
the ghost of Dylan.
Anyway, I challenge that being too faithful. What is great that's faithful is the Mr. Freeze angle with his wife is very faithful to like the animated series. And for me, I'm an animated series purist. So it's great they pulled in that incarnation of Freeze, you know, with I think Heart of Ice, I think it's called.
Yep, you got it right.
So yeah, it's great that they based on that. And Poison Ivy's a really interesting character. Let's get back to the some of the arguments. You know, one of them was that, you know, Poison Ivy's sexuality is very empowering, and the other side is that it's when it's because it's through a male lens that it's a bit exploitive. What do you guys think?
I don't think it is exploitive. I think Schumacher knows what he's doing in that retrospect. I mean, he clearly loves Uma Thurman. He loves photographing her. He loves working with her. Yeah, I mean, oh my God. Poison Ivy in this movie is so sexy. But I think that she is self-realized or self-actualized, I guess. I think that it all, we have to speak to intentionality and we have to engage with cinema on its own terms. And I think that there is a lot of surprising potency to Poison Ivy's character, where maybe you won't find her the most interesting villain of the series. She's definitely not even the most interesting female villain. Like, Catwoman is definitely more of an interesting kind of dichotomy. But I think that she's one of the big bright spots of this movie, Uma Thurman is.
I mean, isn't her origin in this movie exactly Catwoman from Batman Returns? I mean, she gets shoved by a bad
Except
guy.
she gets into those chemicals and she knows exactly what her powers are. She's like, hey,
Yeah,
I
my
just fell
lips
into
are
some
poisoned.
chemicals, and wow, my lips are poisonous.
knew
Like,
it.
how in the world do you know that?
It's not the same thing. It's like, how do you know? Like, how would you know that venom's coursing through you? You know, what makes you aware? A lot of stuff like that is just said. We're told a lot that we're not shown in this movie, you know? So, I mean, there's campiness and allowing yourself to be silly, and then there's just kind of lazy or bad storytelling like that.
But I don't think it's camp, though, because if we go by the definition of Susan Sontag, camp
Failed
is failed
seriousness.
seriousness.
Right.
This is not failed seriousness. This
Not
is
at all.
a flat-out comedy.
Yes.
Well, but then a comedy with a very serious, like, cancer angle, and a highly, and if we're talking about
Like
it being a
Taika
kids movie,
Waititi.
a highly sexualized character who actually makes a lot of risque kind of jokes that I'm surprised they would put in what they, if we're going to say it's intended to be a children's movie, I'm surprised some of those jokes got through.
Are you ready to start locking in?
I guess, well, Ryan's foreman. So, Ben, what way are you going?
I agree that the story is very lazy. Elle McPherson has no reason to be in there. Alfred's story has no real resolution. I agree that Batman, like George Clooney, is just phoning it in. It's George Clooney. He doesn't sound like anybody but George Clooney. On the other side, I do like that it's fun. I do like that it looks good. But I don't know that that's enough to save it. So I was more pulled in by the prosecution's argument. Emily should really take my place on this show. She knows what she's doing.
Done and done.
Yes,
Rob,
I'm free.
lock it in, baby.
I love a lot of the superficial elements. I do think it looks good. And for as much crap as Arnold gets for this movie, he's probably the best part. You know, Freeze has a deep storyline that actually has an arc. It gives him motivation, and he gets a bunch of silly, fun ice puns. So he's walking the line between 60s Batman and like animated series Batman blended together really well. But you know, there's very little substance to what Batman and Robin really do throughout the film. And so I think with the exception of Freeze, once you look below the surface, there's not a lot to this movie. It looks great. And it sounds great. I mean, the soundtrack is great. I love that they blend in like the strikes and cues from like the 60s. Like when they punch someone, you hear the whomp. Like, love that.
There's literal cartoon sound effects. Woo, 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 woo.
Yes. Yeah. Tons of that.
I like. I hated it.
But I like all that. But, you know, at the same time, I think we can challenge even kids to a little bit of a deeper movie than this. I think it's just sort of stupid. And so I'm going to have to go guilty.
I've run the gamut with this film. This movie came out when I was 11 years old. And I still remember I saw it with my dad on opening day. And I went camping with my friends that weekend. And I told them, you're never going to believe it, but he has a Bat credit card. It's the greatest thing ever. Like, I was a dumb kid. I loved this movie. And then I went to hating this movie irrationally, because people told me that I should hate it, and you always have to listen to other people, I guess. But I still think that this is a gentleman's 5, simply because, as Patrick Willems said, it's not trying to set up an expanded universe. It's not the 18th installment of a Long in the Tooth series. It's only the 4th movie. It's not that egregious. But it is a gentleman's 5. It is fascinating. I never tire of going back to look at it and just wonder, how did this end up the way that it was? And so just as a curio, I would have to say that I like it, but I got to stand firm in my belief, and it doesn't matter anyway because you've already condemned it as being guilty, so I'm going to go not guilty.
Well, you voted for your heart, but well, we should get out there and tell that very handsome judge.
We should?
shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go tell that very handsome judge.
There it is. I needed that. Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
Sadly, we have, Your Honor. In the case of the People versus Batman and Robin, some of us find the defendant guilty of being a bad movie.
All right. Put down those batarangs and those bat bombs and...
So glad Rob's editing this episode.
All right. The verdict is so rendered. We will now all line up outside to get our refunds from George Clooney. Court is adjourned.
I deserve it, too.
Is this where I
gonna be
rant and
tough.
wail and...
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Yes,
think.
let it out.
Just trying to think of what terrible voice to do, and either way, it's gonna be terrible.
Do your Bane.
Yeah!
I wish I could do Bane.
citizens call it Bainton.
That's all I could say. Is Bainton. The citizens call it Bainton. That's all I could say. But gosh,
do your Catwoman then.
again, I don't have the ability to do any of these things.
Just be Cowboy Rob.
I don't want to just be German, but I get whatever. Hello, this is Dr. Ice, an intellectually distinct villain. He's kind of Russian, I guess. It's the only accent I really can do. I'm out here I'm chilling outside the Reels of Justice. Really cooling my heels. And, Emily, why don't you come here and tell us what you thought of that jury's verdict?
This whole proceeding didn't give me any pleasure. I have to say, watching this movie, there is just something about it that does just inspire you to kind of want to cuddle it and say, come on, buddy, let's try again next time. So I didn't enjoy getting this guilty verdict, but I think we can all agree this is a bad movie.
Yes, we have to agree now because it's official. And I don't know, maybe I'm getting back into more of like a Hungarian. I'm not sure. Kelsey, why don't you come over here? Oh, it looks like you frosted your tips recently. It looks great. Why don't you tell us what you thought of the jury's verdict?
I couldn't manage to thaw your frozen hearts. But I do challenge all those listeners out there to decide for yourself. And also, if it made you happy, then that's the good thing, too.
Well, if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad.
If it makes you happy, can't be that bad.
Well, good. I'm glad that I really hope that the court never gets a hold of my favorite movie, Cold as Ice. Now let's go back to the studio for post-trial analysis.
You were really leaning into Peter Lorre there for a second. I don't know how you pulled out of that one.
I don't know. I don't have voices. It just become sounds. I don't.
You
know.
have to sign up for my 3-week
All
voice
voices are
boot camp.
sound.
Yeah. Some voices.
That was so much fun, though.
That was fun, and
That was a good case.
I really
Glad
had
I didn't
fun.
have to judge on it.
Yeah, I did have a lot of fun watching this movie till like the third act, and like once they really start kind of fighting and throwing punches, I caught myself kind of fading a few times.
Dylan, what would you
That's
have
what
voted if you
comic
were in
book
the-
movies are supposed to be about.
I don't know. I think a
thought
lot
it
of the
was-
good ones have
certain
fun.
kinds of
endings.
comic book
I thought it
movies.
was
I
the
don't know.
colors and the jokes.
Not entirely, actually.
And the Dutchmans.
I think there's a lot of good
Oh.
stories, usually ripped off from other stuff.
But guys, this debate left me with a burning question. Who is Bane? I felt like things were coming to blows there.
Okay, so if I
There
may,
you go.
so Ryan Luis Rodriguez is correct. Bane was invented in the early 90s to break Batman's back, and it was this whole Nightfall arc in the story. But Bane is actually not an idiot. He is like a brilliant mercenary from South America.
I wasn't
Who
saying he
came
was an
to-
idiot. I was saying
And
it's a
you
bad
said
dumb
he was
character. It's a stupid
Well,
character.
you can say, oh, that's different than him being stupid. though.
Fight.
He admires luchadors.
Yeah, and
Are you saying
basically,
he's the bane of your...
yeah.
Of humanity.
He's a
Emily
big
just
in
came
my
on
That's
here
why
to
he's
break us
named
up.
that.
I'm
That's
learning.
why he's called Bane.
Yeah, so he comes to Gotham. He beats up the toughest dude in Gotham, Killer Croc, and he starts this crime wave that's absolutely getting Batman completely drained. It ends with a showdown of them fighting. He picks him up, breaks him over his back, leads to this whole thing about who's going to replace Batman. He picks this guy named what's his name?
Azrael.
Yep, he picks Azrael. He doesn't pick Dick Grayson, which causes a whole lot of other drama in the series as it goes on. But it was kind of one of those pivot points. It was like right around Death of Superman.
But he wasn't what he was in this movie, right?
No. So that's the thing, though. Bane has never been a mindless idiot. He's always been a tactician who's just more dangerous because he does take the steroids, venom, and he just becomes super jacked.
They treat it, he's almost more like Solomon Grundy in this, in how like monosyllabic he speaks.
Grundy would have been great because he's worked with Two-Face in the comics before, so that it would have been a better character for this movie.
But I like Bane in this because he does look good. He does look right because he's played by Swede Jepsen, a pro wrestler.
R.I.P.
And there are 2 pro wrestlers in this movie, which made me want to go not guilty because Jesse Ventura is in it too.
And don't forget
Kelsey, Emily, what are your favorite Batman movies?
I mean,
Batwoman.
That you'll never see.
The unmade.
I just know that it's good.
No, though.
It's like Schrodinger's bat. We will never know if it's good or not.
Yeah, until then, I just assume it was great.
Yeah.
Take that, Max.
HBO
Take that, you bastards.
Michael Keaton, I guess, is my favorite Batman.
Emily, is that your favorite too?
I'm having to say that I think my favorite, not to be, that person, but like The Dark Knight was, because actually right after watching this movie, we watched it with my husband actually, who was like, guys, I have to watch Batman Begins now. I have to have a palate
I have to wash that taste out of my mouth.
Essentially. And it was really reminding me, I was like, man, there is Christopher Nolan knew how to make a dark Batman movie. But from my childhood, from nostalgia, Batman Returns would also be a favorite. So
yeah, Nolan made 2 great Batman movies.
And then he stopped, and he never did it.
And then he died on his way back to his home.
Then he made Inception, and then he made Inception 2, and he never got around to finishing that trilogy.
What about that one with Superman?
Oh God,
is it Superman? Or which? Oh, we're talking about Dawn of Justice.
Oh my God!
One day destined for return to this courtroom.
Never.
Well, now you've said it, Ryan, and now it's gonna have to happen. So
in the
I
universe.
guess we're doing Avengers Endgame too. Oh my God!
All right, so enough of all this. So Kelsey, Emily, what has been keeping you guys busy lately? What have you been doing?
Oh man, well, funnily enough, we're actually coming to you live from the same location.
I love that.
I know we fooled you guys. Because we're doing a little Hollywood Fringe show that unfortunately it closes this weekend. But that's been keeping us busy. It's for kids.
Any recordings?
It's got puppets in it. Actually, you can check out the website Rescue Roo, a child musical about rescue dogs. It's just freaking adorable.
I've seen all the behind
the scenes. Those puppet videos you post on Instagram, they're super, super cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those puppets are like sickeningly adorable.
Yes.
Yeah, we make people sick.
Yeah. It's like, what's the dog on Mystery Science Theater, Ryan? Like Nummy Muffins and
Nummy Muffin Cuckoo Butter?
Muffin Cuckoo Butter?
Yeah. It's just like overly cute like that where you just want to smash its face. But that's great. So tell us more about the show. I know it's closing, but
oh yeah. Well, and it's if people want to check out the website, it's basically had a couple iterations and is written by a really wonderful woman, Stacey Weingarten, who's does amazing work wrangling for the Muppets. So it comes from a really squishy, wonderful place. And hopefully by the time this comes out, maybe there'll be another production of it or something like that. But
hey, so.
And I know that a certain there is parts of it that are filmed and recorded.
Archivally.
Yeah.
But
so
the intent is to be seen live.
Yeah.
Stupid me being in Denver. Hate it. Not really.
And I know that a certain Joel Schmodgson would be pretty pissed at both of us if I didn't mention that we have MST3K Con, that's a mouthful to say, coming up soon in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania.
Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. You know, that's not
at
that far.
Blobfest.
That's not that far. Hey, Blobfest is, I've been meaning to go to Blobfest for a while. But yeah, Phoenixville's not too far. Is it the same time around as Blobfest, or is...
Yeah, it's happening as part of Blobfest, actually.
Oh,
from what I understand.
Okay, so
You get like a day of it, right? And like a meet and greet, or
Yep, that's correct. It's going to be me, Joel, Jonah. I think we're watching The Batwoman, so it's actually topical.
that was the
the
Batwoman I
one
was
you did on-
referencing 5 minutes ago, and nobody seemed to get it.
oh, I thought you meant the HBO one.
No.
No, the one they did on Mystery Science is definitely better. It's interesting.
Was it?
I think
It's interesting. You don't think it's interesting?
okay, but
No, it
is
wasn't.
is Connor going to be there?
I don't think Connor is
No,
going to be
I
there.
will not. I will not be there either. I know you asked about
Unless-
Connor, but I will also not be there.
Kelsey's also here, Rob. She also played a Rob.
I can only have one crush, and it's Connor.
No, I get it. I get it.
I mean,
That's
we
fair,
all
that's fair.
get it.
He's our
We
beautiful,
all get
beautiful
it.
baby.
I'm a little baby.
How are you riffing it? Are you like, do you have the remarks planned, or?
Oh, I think we're supposed to be watching it. Oh man, I'm not selling this well because I'm like, I haven't been told yet what I'm doing, which
We'll fix it in post.
That always works out so well.
It wouldn't be Mystery Science Theater if it was perfectly, meticulously planned months in advance.
Yes, that's so true.
Wouldn't be on brand.
Yeah. And I don't know, hopefully sometime in the not too distant future, we'll hear some more future news about further MST3K stuff. But till then, everyone should go to the Gizmoplex
It's
and
on
rewatch
Pluto now, not the
season
Gizmoplex,
13.
right?
But you wouldn't want to go to Pluto. You should go to the Gizmoplex and get them some money. Stupid.
Get money on Pluto.
The last time we
They get a
talked to
little
Kelsey
money.
was before we learned that she was Crow. So I want to tell you,
Well,
Kelsey, you
I
did an
felt so
amazing
bad.
job as Crow.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
My timeline is fuzzy. I forgot that was the case.
I think we found out.
Well, I
we
got the
might have
sneak
found
peek
out
because you were like Crow in the live theater or in the live tour. So I was like, "Hey, you were great," and I didn't realize that it was announced you were.
I think we found out like 2 days or so after we posted the episode or something. The news broke, and that was very cool. And that was full of challenges, right? Because you didn't get to record with everyone else, right? You had to do it after the fact.
Half and half.
Okay.
But
Well,
yeah.
All right. Well, I hope in the future that they let you do actually record with
They give you
everyone
your
else
origin
like
story.
a whole person.
Yeah, I
and,
did.
uh,
I did get
Seconded.
to. Thank you so much. Twas a grand old time. The stuff that I did get to actually be there for.
And if you guys can talk to Mr. Joel Schmodson and maybe just put in his ear King a Clone, played by Kelsey. King a Clone.
Ooh.
Just
Ooh,
saying. It's out in
actually-
the universe now. I don't own it. Anyone can take it and run with it.
Have you
Well-
seen? Since I did understudy for.
Yes, I
Yvonne,
think.
Did you see the pictures of me as her understudy? I
Yeah.
Yeah, that mini me. I was her little mini me.
Right, exactly. Maybe they just
So-
have you do mini versions of everyone on different days. Just
Hey.
some sort of broken clone machine.
I'll be a mini Emily, but actually
Mhm.
bigger than her.
Fake
Memily.
news, fake news. Salad bar, salad bar.
No, you just have to stand way back, like way behind her,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
it'll look
yeah,
like you're mini.
Force
Um,
perspective.
Oh my God, you're dancing in my hand like in those old photos.
It's like the Dr. Seuss, right? Where a smaller one keeps running out from the plate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Till it's just a tiny little cherry or whatever. Now, we always ask for recommendations from our guests for movies that you think people should see. So what is a movie that you think people should see? Emily, you get to go first.
Oh man. Well, if we actually want to go with a fun romp that's actually a musical, I have to recommend Streets of Fire. I don't know if anybody in this room has watched this
Love it.
movie.
Love it.
So
Ryan's seen every
good.
movie.
So good. I mean, Willem Dafoe has never looked better. That's my 2 cents. Watch a young Willem Dafoe wearing what look like waders
He was young.
as he's the weirdly enough, he's almost the opposite of Paul Rudd, where Paul Rudd forever looks young,
Yeah.
and Willem Dafoe always looks old.
Yeah, Tommy
I think
Lee
Willem
Jones has the same thing.
Yeah.
Certain actors are paying for the youth of other actors, but
Mhm.
highly recommend Streets of Fire. Great soundtrack and just a bonkers movie that's so fun.
Yeah, I think we've recommended. It's been recommended on here, so I need to like move it up to the.
But I'm going to
very top of
delete
my
it and
list.
put Emily's recommendation on top of it. And replace
You
it.
can just put you could if it gets recommended twice, you can put 2 double entries.
I
in it,
do,
I'm
I
sure.
do, I
Exactly.
do.
There you go. That means it's really, really good. Kelsey, what is your recommendation?
I am racking my brain. I really hope I didn't say this last time, but don't.
You said Robin Hood.
Oh, I
Many times.
did. Fantastic. Then I did not say this. Phantom of the Paradise.
Love it.
Is yes, it is like Phantom of the Opera meets like Rocky Horror Picture vibes. Paul Williams is in it. It was recommended to me, and I love to pay it forward whenever I fall in love with something. It is wild.
And Paul Williams wrote the music too.
Yeah, it's rock and roll, sexy, musical craziness. It's
disturbing.
Yeah.
Paul Williams really wanted to show up his brother John. He's like, you're not the only one who can write music, asshole.
Yes. So yes, what year was it?
74.
74. Yeah.
Of course, Ryan.
Good year. Good year.
Schlenzo, you were the judge. What's your recommendation?
All right, everyone, pull a seat up around the salad bar. This is a long one.
That's
okay,
not
sneeze guard.
hygienic.
There is a sneeze guard, so we're good.
It's not that big.
Every once in a while, you meet someone and your life is changed forever. These transient souls in our lives leave indelible impressions so profound, we are forced to devote a section of our podcast to discuss them. You see, all you people out there on the internet, Maynard Bangs and I met such a man. His name is Arthur, and he sold Maynard some tables. And what a tremendous presence he was, jovial, fun, and he resonated with a core of goodness that is sorely lacking in the makeup of modern men. So, Arthur, I am recommending your favorite movie in honor of our meeting and in honor of you giving the gift of a wonderful story for Maynard and I to share for the rest of our lives. And that movie is K-Pax. And the table, that's right.
K-Pax.
And that movie is K-Pax. Best viewed on VHS, but I know Arthur has the DVD as well. K-Pax from 2001 has Kevin Spacey deliver a mesmerizing performance as Prot, a man who enchants the world with his claims of being an extraterrestrial from a distant planet called K-Pax. Blending elements of drama and science fiction, this captivating movie delves into the complexities of human identity and the power of imagination, leaving audiences questioning the boundaries of reality itself. And to close out this recommendation, allow me to share the poem that Arthur wrote for Maynard and me.
Don't share his poem.
And here it is. I shan't meet cooler buyers in this present incarnation. The coolest buyers ever. Two energies combined, creating my youngest son's energy. Humans. Early stage of evolution, future uncertain. Arthur, it was such a pleasure and honor to meet you, and I hope our paths cross again. Thank you.
Let me briefly demystify this story. I'm moving, so I needed some I need like a coffee table, and so I got one off Facebook Marketplace. We went to this guy's house, and
that's certainly poem worthy.
And he lets us in his house, and he's got a bunch of broken tables and stuff that he's like refurbishing and trying to sell. And he had a VHS player that was like open, it was like one of the pop top ones, and it's like broken open, and it's got K-Pax in it. And I'm like, well, now we can't watch K-Pax on VHS. He's like, don't worry, I have the DVD. It's one of my favorite movies. And it was so weird. And he said that Schlenzo and I, if we did, what's that fusion dance that they do?
If we did the fusion dance, yes.
Yeah, if we did the fusion dance, we would make his son, like his youngest son. And anyway, we were like, we texted him when we left. We're like, we hope the next guy is just as cool. And then he sent back that poem to us, and it was anyway. But Arthur was
I have
really
to cut
cool,
my recommendation in half now. Thanks, Dylan.
Hey, Arthur was worth it, damn it.
Yeah, and we could take as much time we want because it's the season premiere. It's the season 4 premiere.
Nice.
So it's a big deal.
Hope Emily and Kelsey don't have to go anywhere.
I don't think they do.
Well, I was going to say, since we have time, I have to tell you guys, he 100% has pulled that K-Pix on other people who have picked up tables. There is no way. He placed it perfectly. He was like, oh, we'll see if they notice. This is,
It should have
this
been
is
a
his
warning
game.
sign because it's Kevin Costner, or not Kevin. It's Kevin Spacey. Kevin Costner's the good one, right? One
We
of
can't
them is
afford to have
bad.
Kevin Costner search.
In the salad bar with a note, the food alone is worth the trip.
One of them's bad. Big Ben, what's your recommendation?
I'm going to recommend, debatably, one of the first superhero movies, although I guess it's the remake because it's 1940s version. It's The Mark of Zorro. Much like Godzilla, I think Zorro fits into that category of older black and white films that everybody thinks they've seen and know because the character is so present in our culture and has showed up in modern remakes, and yet they haven't actually seen it. And they should, because The Mark of Zorro buckles the swash just as good as anyone out there. Or, hey, if Westerns are your thing, it has elements of that as well. The film follows the story of Don Diego de la Vega, a Spanish nobleman who moonlights as the masked vigilante as he fights the corrupt governor of California, Don Rafael Monero. The direction is stylish and atmospheric. It creates a world of swashbuckling adventure with sweeping cinematography and a rousing score. The Mask of Zorro is a classic that is sure to entertain you and any kids that you might have floating around as well. So add some zest into your life and zip on over to your online platform of choice and watch Zorro zigzag his way into your hearts. There's your alliteration, Dylan.
Hey, you did a great job, Ben.
But I'm giving you the thumbs up. What a hell of a recommendation.
Fantastic recommendation. Well done.
And Zorro showed his nipples a lot, too.
Yay!
And nobody gave him a hard time.
As should we all. As should we all.
Free the nipple.
Exactly. Thank you. Ryan, what do you got?
My recommendation this week is a French film from Céline Sciamma, writer-director of Portrait of a Lady on Fire. From 2021, it's called Petit Maman. In this understated little film, a young girl whose grandmother just died goes out to clean the family's house with her mother. Venturing out to the woods, she discovers a stick fort her mother built as a child, and through a bit of magical realism, meets her mother at the same age. It's a little bit of time travel, it's a lot of heart, packing so much potent emotion in just 73 minutes. It's just about the loveliest episode of The Twilight Zone never made. Petite Maman, which means little mom, is currently streaming on Hulu, but you should pick up the recently released Criterion Collection Blu-ray, which also features an animated film that Sciamma wrote in 2016 called My Life as a Zucchini.
Oh, hey, I saw that one. That's good.
Yeah.
Actually, I did. What year did you say this movie came out, Ryan?
2021.
All right, because, at the risk of spoiling one of my favorite movies ever, When Marnie Was There is basically the same plot about meeting a little ghost mom, but I digress.
Anyway, we're going to put
It's a whole category, really, a whole subgenre in the rental.
we don't have any
Yeah, I guess it
zucchini.
could.
Ghost moms.
No zucchini in the salad bar.
I should recommend the Zucchini movie. It is good.
Yeah, but you haven't. Now, if
That's my
any of
fault.
you are like me, then you may be
Nope.
curious as to the origin of the term sidekick, and therefore Google its history in the middle of the night. Also, if you're anything like me, you wash your hands a lot. Anyway, the term dates back to pickpocket slang from the late 19th century. As we all probably know, the front pocket of your pants, or trousers as they were called back then and also now, was considered the pocket most safe from grabby gusses. And this pocket was known as a kick. Thus, a sidekick was considered to be someone's most trustworthy and reliable confidant. That's true. Now, I bring it up because my recommendation today centers around Batman's sidekick, his bosom buddy, Robin, but the more tragically fated second incarnation, Jason Todd. And that's 2010's Batman Under the Red Hood. 5 years after the boy Wonder was brutally murdered by the Joker, the Dark Knight must open up old wounds in order to foil a new mysterious villain who arrives in Gotham, who seems to have some connection to his deceased sidekick. Okay, it's Jason Todd back from the dead. You happy?
Oh,
I
geez.
can't keep secrets. It's a 13-year-old film based on an 18-year-old comic, so come on. But this animated film and the comic are a great redemption story for Jason Todd, who was killed off in the comics in the late 80s via a fan telephone poll, a controversial decision even at that time. But this is considered among the very best of the DC animated features, and that's no doubt in due part to John DiMaggio's portrayal of the Joker, who sounds like Mark Hamill, Heath Ledger, and Bender thrown in a blender. Batman Under the Red Hood is currently streaming on Max.
Ooh. Did Sam Liu direct that one?
That's a great question for you to find out.
Because if you tag him, he'll retweet it. He does that.
Let's tag him anyway, and we'll ask.
You know what? Tag him anyway, and he'll be like, "Thank you, but I did not direct this."
We'll tag Joel as well, just to see what he does.
Yeah, exactly. But with that, we're all at a show. But we want to thank Kelsey and Emily for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Man, it was a pleasure.
Thank you
Always,
for helping us
as always.
ring in season 4. There's cheers there, I think.
Woo, yeah, season 4. All right.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
So
4 more years. 4 more years.
Please clap.
Reels! Exclamation point.
We're hoping for 4 more years. 4 more years.
Hey, I'll take 4 more episodes.
You'll be lucky to get that. But we hope both of you will join us again soon, and we hope everyone else will as well, as the reels of justice keep turning.
Count it.
Nipples!
I was hoping he was going to say salad bar.
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.